All right. Good morning, everyone. It is 11:04. We are going to call the December 19, 2022 board meeting of the Electric Utility Board to order.
I will also call the City Council to order for this meeting today on December the 19th, 2022.
Do we have anyone signed up for public comment? No one has signed up today. All right, we are now recessing into executive session in accordance with 1 VTCA Government Code 551.086 on competitive matters of Lubbock Power and Light, 2 VTCA Government Code 551.071 seeking advice of and consultation with Lubbock Power and Light's attorneys on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Government Code and seeking advice of its attorneys about pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers. The UB is now in executive session.
City Council will hold an executive session today for the purpose of consulting with the city staff regarding competitive matters of the public power utilities under Section 551.086 of the Texas Government Code and pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers and hold consultation with attorneys under Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code.
Floor 2. Second floor. It is 11:51, and we are reconvening into open session. Good. All right, that brings us to item 5, approve the minutes from the regular Electric Utility Board meeting on November 29, 2022. Got a motion by Eddie. Need a second? Got a second by Dan. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same. Item 6, Mr. Abbey.
Good morning. Yes.
Doesn't show to be on.
There
we go.
There we go. There we go. Just got to push the right button. So I've told you in the past that I want to start making some incremental changes to the board packet. I want to get you all some information in front of you that's actionable, something that you can hold us accountable to. You can see how well the organization is performing, how well I'm doing, how well the team is doing, and we're starting to take steps down that path. As we get through this next year, we will make a few more incremental type changes. Not a big deal, but I want you to be able to drive to the answers that you're looking for quickly and efficiently, so you don't have to study the entire packet to try to figure out what's going on. So, kind of give you an example of goods and bads, but on page 24 is my first one, I think. If you'll turn with me in the hymnal to page 24. So we got some charts that let you know how the progress of our projects are going. And I've asked Luke and Blair to give us the focus on the things that are critical for us making the transfer into ERCOT with the remaining load, right? So we've got 30% of our customers that are still hanging out there in the Southwestern Power Pool. We want to make sure that we're on track to get all these projects pushed in and done by, let's say, mid-May, sometime in that time frame. Right now, our plan, June 1, is to have the conversion complete. If the PUC process is slowed up for whatever reason, and then the FERC process might take that much, 60 days minimum. We can still, we got some slack in that time. If we're a month out, we're still okay. But we really need to be on board with it by probably the end of June, if not sooner.
My page 24 is just dates.
Just dates. I know I got the right. Oh, 28.
Oh,
Page 28. You caught me.
sorry, I was,
No, you caught me. I think I had page 24 because that's the start of the changes that I'm going to be making.
okay, thank you, sorry.
No. Thank you, Ms. Stafford. We're putting the board dates in there. We haven't done that before. You all know, if you've been here any time at all, we're not always meeting on these dates because sometimes spring break or something like that happens. So I just want you to have a page that shows what our meeting dates are going to be. Sorry about that. Thank you. All right, fast forwarding to page 28 is where those Gantt charts start. That gives you the progress of these projects. I'm going to try to simplify that even more because that's very much an eye chart, and I don't expect my board to have to stare that closely at these things to get a sense of what's going on. Then if you turn over to page 30, hopefully that's the right one. You got the yellow chart and then the chart below that. I'm going to give you the listing of critical projects that we have to get done in order to be able to meet this deadline. And then in the next edition, I'm going to start labeling everything red, yellow, or green. Do we need to be concerned about it? Are we good? So you can go straight to it and say, here's the issue that I think I'm seeing, and tell us about it. Okay? But these are the critical, we got a whole lot more projects than that going on, but these are the ones that are going to be absolutely critical to making it into ERCOT with that switch over. On the following page, 31, Mr. Weingart has created a roadmap of sorts, a timeline of activities in order to get into the retail market next year about this time. What I really want to highlight on this particular page for now, because this is going to be improving as we go through time, but for now, everything you see on this page, with the exception of maybe the TCOS filing, everything you see on this page is extraordinary to the work that we do day to day. So you all know, again, if you've been here any time at all, over the last 5 years, this utility has been doing so many more things than we normally would have ever had to do because of moving into the ERCOT system and because of trying to get into retail competition. This amount of work, and thankfully I've got a great team to a person all working on this, and we're going to make this happen. But almost every like 99% of this stuff is extraordinary work that we're going to be doing to get to that point. So it gives you a good listing of all these kinds of things. You see the one thing up there that's marked in yellow at the very top, kind of leftish side of the timeline. That's a budgetary risk. We've identified an organization that can provide a service. Some of us didn't particularly like the price that it was going to come in at. We were already working with them to get this stuff done. But because we were testing, and Clint's going to talk about this a little bit more in a minute, because we're testing our systems with so many more market participants than we ever thought that we were going to, like instead of 15, it's 190 or something like that. That's the variation that we saw. So that was causing a pretty good divide in the amount of money that we needed to spend to get ready for that. Again, Clint's going to talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to try to give you a very open and honest, transparent assessment of what I think our odds are of making these deadlines for these different things, and then we can have that conversation on these things because your eyes will be able to go readily to what the issues are. That is the goal. Any questions on the board packet?
Ms. Stafford?
Mr. Ivy, on page 28, when you had the substation and the feeder system, the yellow, that you pointed out, page 30 of our packet. So what you're saying,
that's just
those four substations are the ones that we need done for ERCOT, and then the feeder systems are below that. So these are the ERCOT necessary completion ones.
Yes, and disregard the color that was highlighted, but it's not really for any particular reason.
Okay.
Okay.
So in McDonald, we only have 27% of the items, and in Vicksburg, we only have 40%.
That's correct. That's correct.
And all the packages for those have been issue?
You can see that there's no more packages in planning, and the rest of the POs have been issued.
Okay, and so you feel confident that all of those will get to that 100% like you have for the co-op in Thompson?
I've got faith in my guys and my people. I do have confidence we're going to get this done. I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm a fan of failure mode planning, and so I want to make sure that we can make it if we say that we're going to make it. So this may or may not change over time as we learn something. So just know that. I'm going to come to you if we have issues or if we think that we have issues. We will be making changes to the status of these things for you, okay? Right now today, it looks like we're on go. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If there's no other questions, I'll move on to item 7.
Any other questions for item 6? Item 7.
Okay, so I visited with you all before about the market redesign, the ERCOT market redesign. There's a lack of faith that we have the reliability on the grid that we would like in ERCOT. And I'll tell you from my experience, ERCOT is about where every other grid in the United States is, but we're getting a lot of attention right now because of Winter Storm Uri, and rightly so, and we should be. So there's a lot of different people looking at a lot of different solutions to get this market designed in such a way that we can feel better about the amount of reliability that we have built into the system. I get it, and I'm 100% for it. As I reported to you the last time, we've joined a coalition of folks that's being headlined by Shell Energy North America. And there's several other entities that have signed on to be part of that coalition. We're going into ERCOT with the PUC rather, with a proposal that's in addition to the other things that have already been studied and proposed. And it's basically a set of steps that are already capable of being taken, but they just have not been set up within ERCOT itself yet. And so we think that we can use existing mechanisms, if you will. They call it ancillary services. So you offer a generator an amount of money if you can be online in 2 hours, and you know that availability need, because you're going to be coming into the market when the prices are peaking, and that's when these generators want to be in the market because that's when they make their money. So we think by doing some simple things like that, we can jumpstart making sure that the fossil-fired generators have an opportunity to participate more in the market, because honestly, the fossil-fired generators are being pushed out by the renewables. Renewables are coming in at such a low price on an energy basis, but they're not a reliable source of power like the fossil-fired generators are. So that's something that a lot of our good folks in the state legislature are taking a good hard look at that. They want to see more what they call spinning iron on the ground readily available, and I think we all want the same thing. So if we can drive to a conclusion on this with something that doesn't drive the prices just way, way out, then I think we've got a really good solution set. So you're going to hear more about this almost once a month probably as we get through this, but every solution that's been pitched is a couple of years out minimum so far. We think this one can be implemented rather quickly, and if for whatever reason it doesn't look like it's going to work, you still got time to build to do something else and bring more generation in. It's going to be on about the same timeline. Questions, comments, concerns? We had a heavy lunch. Maybe everybody's ready for a nap.
Louis, you awake down there?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if that's all there is, then I'd like to turn it over to Matt for item 8.
Mr. Rose, item 8, customer education.
So we've been talking about this last couple of months, so I won't run you through all the slides that I've been running you through, but I just wanted to check back in with you real quick and let you know that we are continuing to build out the communications, and we're continuing to do news stories and talk to the public about what's going on this coming year, importantly this next summer and the fall that follows after that. So just kind of looking at the start of the summer when we kind of kicked off the awareness campaign. Since that time, we've done 18 radio shows. We've done 45 news interviews that's produced over 90 stories, which is certainly a record for us. We've had periods where we've had lots of media attention, but this is probably the biggest kind of proactive effort that we've put forward. And thus far, the media's been working with us. December's always hard. It kind of wanes towards the holidays, but you can bet by first week of January, they'll be back up and wanting news stories. And they'll probably want a lot of news stories as we get into the legislature about what Joel just talked about in terms of market redesign. But every news story that they come to us, we will somehow figure out a way to transition back to the competition project and transition folks back to our website. In terms of community groups, looking at really the last 15 weeks, we've talked to 12 different community groups, and we'll cycle back through and talk to them at the start of this next year. A lot of these are your Rotaries and these types of clubs that are important, but for example, Solomon has done a fantastic job of helping me hook up with a lot of religious organizations, and we're going to continue doing that. Councilmember Patterson Harris and I have talked about the first of this next year going on kind of a road show in her district to talk to folks. Councilmember Martinez Garcia just said the same thing, and I'll certainly take up any council member that'll have me out to their town halls or just meeting with small groups of people, because as we talk about, we're going to try to hit all avenues of paid, earned, and owned media, but there's going to be folks that we miss despite our best efforts. So hopefully if we can continue getting good information out there, we can. Speaking of that, we just really today, we put out a new explainer video on the website. I'm going to try to start running these on these TVs outside in any areas that the city has outside of our own channels. If you go to citylubbockutilities.com now, it'll reroute you on the first page back to LPNL for competition. So that explainer video is coming out. We've got a newer version of a shopping guide that we're going to roll out that's going to really get built upon. One of the big decisions that's going to come up here before too long is the polar and default and VREP decision. That's going to be one of those points in time where that's going to give us a lot of really good information that's pertinent to get out to the community. You know, letting folks know who's going to play in those positions after that decision, and then at that point we can start further filling out what this exactly looks like. Another big touch point that we're going to have in the spring that we can't really right now engage in is who are these reps going to be? And so when we get to that point in time where folks start registering with us and we know who's going to participate in the market, then we can start putting that on the website with their contact information. And now this conversation gets a little bit easier. When I speak to groups right now, I can take them up to the point of explaining what competition is and how the structure is going to be, but I don't have the ability to answer to them how many people are going to be in the market, who are they going to be, what are their contact numbers, those types of things that are going to be very important that we'll start getting that information in the spring, and that'll help us. You know, we're going to have mini campaigns too. For example, the 30% cutover, we're going to have to step back for a second and talk to folks about that. But again, that'll be a good opportunity to say, once we get the 30% remaining in the ERCOT market, now we are fully engaged and technically ready to go in terms of folks going out and shopping, because we've said all along that until that happens, this next step can't take place. So I feel like in the next couple of months, that's going to help. We're going to continue using our, like I say, our own media. LPNL.com is always going to be the main center of information. If you go to our website, that's going to be the front graphic that's there for the next year with a button to go to the competition page to learn more. But we're still going to, you know, like right now we're doing onserts on the bill. Well, now we're doing that in English and Spanish, and we're going to do it every single month. So we're going to be doing stuff like coming up with one-pagers off that shopping guide that are in English and Spanish that can be given out to different organizational groups so that if somebody can't go to the website, they've got something to hand out to them. So this campaign's not going to stop. It's just going to slowly build each and every month as we add new tools on top. But I think up to this point, we've done a lot of work on awareness, and I'm excited to kind of go to this next phase, which is more education and process. And so that's really what we'll be engaging in. And the biggest promotional event we'll have in all of this is going to be the shopping window this next summer. So hopefully by that time, we will have put a lot of information out there, but these folks that are going to participate in the market that want to pick up customers, I think they'll be good partners with us in terms of they themselves buying paid media and getting folks out, because they've got a vested interest in wanting to pick up customers. So want to make sure that we include them as well. But that's where we are at this point, but I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all may have, concerns, or just any good advice. Like I say, a lot of these things I picked up just from the back and forth with board members, so it's always helpful to get y'all's take on it. Even if not today, just shoot me an email, give me a shout, let me know what you think, what can be added. But I appreciate it.
Matt, is there still plans to have some type of telephone service for those that need assistance in making customer choice? Not to make the choice for them, but to help guide them through that process?
Well, we will have information that we give to our call center so that when folks call in, they can direct them to that. But they can only walk up to a certain point in terms of helping them decide. But that's what we're trying to really put things like a comprehensive shopping guide out there that they can point to that has, a front end that gives people information on how to shop. We want to put all that on our website, but we also want to have it in a handout form. But that's going to be the tricky part, is there are going to be a lot of folks that call up and say, just tell me who to pick, and obviously our folks can't do that. But giving them information like being able to say, right now, LPNL's rate is this. So that's a good touch point when you look at different providers. Giving them that kind of information, I think, will help. But that's going to be the trickiest part of this.
I'm probably more thinking about the people that are not computer illiterate, that may not be able
Right.
to
Yes,
use
sir.
may not know how to go out to the website. They may just want to call someone and say, hey, I need some help.
Yeah, and that's where we're going to have trouble in the call center with that conversation. But that's where we've got to be able to say that we've got materials that you can either come pick up from us, or that we can get to you somehow. We obviously don't want to be mailing out tens of thousands of documents, but there may be instances where we have to make an exception and mail something out to somebody because they just don't have the capability of coming and getting it from us. They don't have a computer at the house. But that's what we're trying to work really hard with Amy Sue and the City of Lubbock Utilities Group, is to put together enough documents and get the call center educated enough that they know all the things that they can tell customers up to that point of not stepping too far down. But that's going to be an ongoing process, especially as we get close to the shopping windows. I'll give you one example, and it's one reason why we're kind of slowly wading into this, is that we know that in the spring, we're going to go through a process of rolling back different items like budget bill. And so we went ahead and tried to get ahead of that and communicate that a little bit, that this is something that we're contemplating and coming, and it immediately caused a big rush of concern. And so on the overall project, I don't want to cause that same rush of concern for the choice. I want folks to know that do your education now and get up to speed, but you don't have to do anything until this next summer. I don't want to create chaos. So we're going to try to continue to walk that line, but it's going to all be about building out educational materials that we can try to get out to folks every possible way we can imagine. But it's going to be tricky. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Schultz?
Nope, sorry.
I think you answered the question, but remind me, so this summer, is there a drop dead date, like June, July?
If everything right now, and again, it's what makes it kind of hard to communicate. There are things that have to fall in place and things that have to get completed. But if everything goes to schedule, you would be looking at about a July 1st open to the competitive market that would run for about, I think, 45 days or something of that nature. But that's the point in time where it'll be locked in, and we'll be spending a lot of resources and time saying, you got to go do this right now. And that's where we'd hope that, and I won't say any by name, but that's where we'd hope some of these folks that are the bigger folks participating in the market that want customers, we can turn to them and say, if you want customers, get them out here for this event. Do everything you can to promote it. So we're hoping to try to leverage that on top.
Okay, and does ERCOT provide those vendors for the customers to go to?
Well, they will have to register with us. But we can take a look right now at who participates in the Midland Odessa market, Wichita Falls, Abilene, to get a good idea of who they're going to be and how many. But it won't be until we go through that process here in a short time where they start officially signing up with us.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Gambles?
Yes, ma'am.
So as we have people wanting to understand the process of deregulation and what to do first, will we provide that information clearly on our website? And would the competitors be on the website as well for them to choose from?
Yes, ma'am. And if you go to lpnl.com right now, we already have the structure, and we're starting to put all of this information in. And as we make these big decisions in the next 60 to 90 days, that'll put a lot more information on the website. And one thing I really want to stress and do is that on our website, as folks register in this market, I want to have up front a page that lists out every single one of those providers, their contact information, their website, because just like when we did the deployment of the advanced meters, and we had contractors out there who were switching out the meters, it was good to be able to go to the media and talk to public groups and say, if somebody comes to your door and you're not sure, go to our website. We've got their picture and their name, and you know that they're legitimate. We're going to have so many people getting calls and even people going by houses. From a security standpoint, I want to be able to say, go to our website and make sure that who came to your door and called on you is legitimate. But I also want to point it and tell people, hey, if you want to go ahead and start calling and gathering information and you want to do it that way, we've got everybody listed on the website and the number that you need to call for each and every one of the reps. So that you can figure out what's going on. And a lot of people will go to Power to Choose, but there may be people that don't like going to websites and they just want to call, and so we got to have that listed as well.
So we won't have rates necessarily on our
We will
website.
not have their rates on our website. One thing that makes it tricky is that you may have one entity that has 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 different rate plans that are tiered plans, and so it makes it a little hard to kind of pinpoint it on that one. But what I want to do is say, go to this website and look at everybody's pricing for their plans, but before you leave here, notice that this is what our price is. Because I've noticed over the years that you can talk to people about cost on their bill, but there are not a lot of folks that know what their actual rate is. And so all of a sudden, if you tell somebody, go pick a rate, they don't know if that rate should be 2 cents or 10 cents or 20 cents. So we want to try to get them in the ballpark to know that this is a range. Now start looking at good customer service, start looking at products they offer and things like that.
All I can say is that the people that I'm speaking with in the community are petrified. And I just hope that we provide them with good education
Yes, ma'am.
on how, because this is something so completely brand new for all of us, but certainly for them, as a lot of times, you know, they are not into technology and they just don't know how to make those kinds of decisions.
And there will be a lot of folks, despite our best efforts, that will get to the end of that shopping window and will not have made a decision because they didn't know to, or they didn't know how to, or didn't have the capability. And that's why it's process-wise so important that we do the default rep decision, so that whoever doesn't pick a provider gets randomly assigned one that has a good rate, and then they then can go choose somebody else if they don't like it. But we don't want somebody to fall through the cracks if they don't make a decision, despite our best efforts. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Rhodes.
Thank y'all.
Item 9, Casey, financials. Unaudited financials.
Okay, I'm just going to take us through our operating to budget for October. So you can see that our charges for services came in a little short. That's going to be due to our overcollected status that we're in October. We're 8.6 million overcollected, so that goes against our revenues. We're right on track for our T-cost and hold harmless payment. And then you can also see we're coming in under on our purchase of fuel and power. So we were budgeted 17.8 and we came in at 8.5. And then we were also a little bit under on our other operating expenses. So overall, if you look at our operating income, we're pretty much right in line for where we should be with the budget for October.
Questions or comments? How's the audit going?
Huh?
How's the audit going?
It's going good. We're getting there.
All right.
So.
They're
Yeah.
back working from home now?
Huh?
Are they working from home now? They were here for 2 weeks and then,
I think they just left. I think Friday was their last day here, so I think they're gone now.
good deal.
All right, thank y'all.
Any other items there? Thank you. Mr. Harvey, item 10, discuss and take action on fiscal year 2022-23 electric rate and tariff schedule as amended and make appropriate recommendations to the City Council of the City of Lubbock pursuant to 2.03.415A of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lubbock, Texas.
So as LP&L approaches entering into a full retail competitive environment, there need to be subsequent changes to what we do with our tariff. So some of the processes and changes that need to happen are going to be, we're not going to need to continue to collect deposits from our customers once we cease being an electric utility. We're not going to need budget billing. We're going to have to find a reasonable time frame to phase out budget billing to put customers in a time frame that they can adjust their billing and come to a comfortable end to that process. We have lights that are out there, both floodlights and security or guard lights, that we're going to be phasing out as well in terms of the LP&L managing that process. And there are going to be other decisions that are going to need to be made along the way. There are going to be processes that are going to need to have some change. And so what we're looking for is the authority to be, the EUB can make those decisions during this time, not on the rates, but just merely on the processes. So an example of that would be the timing of which when we would stop deposits, collecting deposits from customers. So we're not going to start that effective immediately. We're going to look to do that sometime during the summer to be able to transition customers and provide a glide path to bringing an end to this process. So for everything that's structured in our rates and in our tariffs, we're going to have to come up with a process that as we make that transition to retail, to have the flexibility to make the changes on a timely basis, not the rates themselves, they'll always go through before City Council, but in terms of the structure and the processes and the timing of the changes, we're looking to that to come from the EUB. So that's what's before you in this resolution, is to make those changes to the tariff. So that's what I have with Chairman.
Any questions or comments?
Okay.
Now we entertain a motion. Got a motion by Mr. Schultz. Need a second? A second by Butch. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same. It carries.
Great, thank you.
Item 11, consider a resolution authorizing the chairman of the EUB to execute a certain First Amendment to Services Agreement by Energy Services Group, LLC, and the City of Lubbock, acting through and by Lubbock Power and Light.
Good morning, everyone.
Representatives, it's increasing to 2.2 million or $900,000, I believe. Welcome, Clint.
Correct. Purpose for this First Amendment to ESG contract is, well, first of all, we didn't have a clue how many people were going to be testing in the test flight for with ERCOT and City of Lubbock, or LP&L utilities. So anyway, there's going to be right now 193 have expressed interest in doing this. So what this means is that the base contract that was set up with ESG was set up for basically 15 reps to test, trading partners to test with us. After that time, the way the contract was set, it would be so much per trading partner going up from there, which would have caused an amendment at that time anyway. What we wanted to do, and we weren't happy with that cost because of the 193 trading partners that wanted to do it. If we'd have stuck with the 193 trading partners on that original contract, it would have been a little over $3.3 million, just right at $3.3 million to do it. Under direction of Mr. Ivy, what we did is we went out there and we negotiated as best we could to get those numbers down with the current trading partners that want to do it. So, and that's what you're seeing here is an increase in $900,000. The contract before had a do not exceed 1.3 million. Adding the 900,000 will get it to a 2.2 million. What we did in negotiating the contract or the amendment, we basically mitigated risk on not only the top side, but we also went to the bottom side and did that also. The number of Trading partners, right now, 193. We hit that at the 15,000. If it goes over 200 trading partners, then it increases to 20,000 per partner. We don't see that happening at all because there's only like 200 trading partners in Texas, retail electric providers, right around that number, plus or minus, because they're always changing. But to go along with that, we also came in and we negotiated a cost on the bottom side that, okay, this is what it is. It's $15,000 per trading partner for the first 2 years. After that, it can be adjusted. Years 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be. It can change if we're less than 150 or less trading partners. It goes down to $10,000 per partner, which is a significant savings for us. So anyway, that's what we did. We did that on the bottom side to reduce the number. We really believe that the numbers will come down from the 178 or the 193 trading partners, which means that included 15, so you reduce that and it gets it to 178 that we're having to pay the $15,000 on. So those numbers, if those numbers decrease, then our contract goes down also. Anyway, just to get down to it, if we accept this amendment, then it will be not to exceed $2.2 million on the contract. Did I talk around in circles?
Mr. Fields?
Question, is there a way to cap or put a ceiling on the number of trading partners?
No, sir. Not by rule. We cannot limit anyone from trading with us if they want to. Nothing we can do on that. That's PUC rules.
Sorry. I move approval.
We have a motion by Ms. Stafford. Need a second? A second by Lewis. All those in favor? Any other questions or comments? All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same? That one carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, brings us to item 12, which is to consider, nominate, and elect officers of the Electric Utility Board and consider possible minute action to appoint members for the officer positions. My nomination rules here. I'll apologize up front for not being able to reach out to you guys, but advise that's illegal. So this is item 11. It's been a pleasure serving as the chair, and I'm willing to keep doing it if that's so fit. If not, I'm also willing to support whoever that may be. So we are now nominating and electing EUB board members for chair, vice chair, and board secretary for the 2023 EUB board year in accordance with our bylaws. Article 4C3. Once the floor is opened, any member of the Electric Utility Board may put forth nominations for the positions of chair, vice chair, and secretary of the 2023 EUB board year. Please state the name of whom you wish to nominate and for what position. Nominations may be for any position, or a slate for all positions may be offered. You may nominate anyone on the board, including yourself. When putting forth a nomination, you may make a short statement of endorsement of your nominations. Are there any questions? There's no answers to that question, so I hope you don't have any questions. All right, the floor is now open. Are there any nominations? You turn your mic on.
I'd be glad to, thank you. I'd like to take just a second, though, to recognize you and say thank you for all your efforts. I think you've been doing this for 2 or 3 years.
Sir.
You've done a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your efforts and for being part of what goes on here.
Yes, sir.
You've been an added force. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion for a slate of officers. Being involved in planning and zoning for many, many years taught me that it is good from time to time to mix things up, bring in some new blood, let other people have an opportunity to also be in positions of leadership. And so I'd like to make a motion for a slate of officers, and that would be, my motion would consist of Gwen Stafford as chair, Butch Davis as vice chair, and Eddie Schultz as secretary treasurer.
And Eddie is secretary?
Yes.
All right, are there any further nominations for any positions or slates? Okay. Hearing no further nominations, I close nominations for the chair, vice chair, and secretary of the 2023 EUB board. The nomination process is now closed. We will now vote on the slate that was proposed, which is Gwen Stafford as chairwoman, Butch Davis as vice chair, and Eddie Schultz as secretary. All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same? That one carries. Congratulations all, and welcome. All right, item 13, that's done, correct? We did that right? Perfect. Item 13, discuss possible committee assignments and member interest for the following committees. 1 is the Technical Review Committee, 2 is the Financial Review Committee, 3, Human Resources Committee, and 4, Project Helping Hand Committees. The new exec team will be putting together this, so I think the plan here was to have emails sent to them if any of those pique your interest of chairing them or sitting on those.
Mr. Chair,
sorry.
I recommend if there's an interest in certain committees, that you all talk about that here.
Oh,
So, we're having
no email, sorry. Being advised to get in the wrong way, sorry. All right, so if there is in those or you have any questions on those, ask those now. I do know this Project Helping Hand Committee 4 will probably be it'll be its last year, is what I was told. And so, is that correct still? Yes? Okay, so that one will be going away after this year, but we will keep it. We will need to, I guess, what is that, sunset it over the next 12 months. So that will be working through that with roughly next November. So questions on 13?
Mr. Chairman, for the sake of those that are new to the board, can there be some clarification on what these committees are?
Yes. Technical Review Committee probably is the one that meets the most. Generally, we've had engineers in the past chair those as they do the interconnection to ERCOT and that. And I think I had the list, but there's 3, and then there's a liaison, I believe. Liaison?
page 161.
161. And then the Financial Review Committee will meet with the audit team once a year. They get the audit provided to them, presented to them prior to the audit, and so they'll have that. And then they will meet again with the board and have that recommendation to the board, generally saying, hey, we believe in the audit, that it was good, and they're kind of our witnesses to that. Human Resources Committee evaluates Joel and Jenny. They put those reviews together and do the background legwork to getting all our surveys. And then Project Helping Hands is the extra portion that folks put on their bill to help those in need throughout the year with electric utilities and help with that and try to generate other revenues in order to do that. I think that one was created by Mrs. Henry when she was here probably 4 years ago. So it's kind of new, and it will be going away as we'll just be in the lines business. So that's kind of an overview, if that was the best one I could give you. We can ask staff out there. They may help more. Does anyone have any interest on any of those or ones that they would not like to be on? Yeah, please don't put me on this one. You can have requests both ways. If not, we'll let the new exec team get that together, and we'll have those nominations for the next board meeting. We're having a special meeting, though, right, prior to, in January? No, it was a February meeting, maybe is what it was. Okay, so yeah, January, so we'll have that then, and if something changes in between then, let the powers be that know it. That brings us to the consent. If there's no other discussion on item 13, is there? That'll bring us to consent items 14 through 18. I would entertain a motion for those if none of those are going to be pulled separately. Got a motion by Mr. Schultz. Need a second?
I'll second.
Got a second by Butch. All those in favor? Any discussion? do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same. That one carries as well. That brings us to item 19. We are adjourned, and it is 12:37. Maybe a record?
We adjourned, I just want the board to
No.
take an opportunity to say thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You've done a wonderful, wonderful.
Appreciate that.
Without a
Appreciate it.
job. And I want everybody to realize that, and I want people to.
Boom. Thank you, sir. Now we re-adjourn. Thank you, Eddie.